17 Grand Slam titles in doubles.
Yep.
So yeah, so I mean, 17 times being in those big stadiums and all those things. So you miss that times when you were on the court, or?
No, not anymore. I probably missed it the year I retired. The year I retired, I was number one in the world, and I won the French and Wimbledon. I made the finals of the U.S. Open. So it was the year after that. It was hard to not defend those titles. But I was kind of burnt out. I had achieved everything. I mean, I achieved way more than I ever thought I could have achieved, and you know, I just kept remember telling myself, okay, I've won 17 Grand Slams. If I win 18, who cares, right? It's
Yeah.
like, what's one more? I didn't, you know, the main reason I retired was because Natasha, the partner I won 14 Grand Slams with, she didn't want to play with me anymore. She wanted to play with Lindsay Davenport, and I didn't really want to play with someone else. It was motivating to me to chase history. So we were four Grand Slams away from tying Martina and Pam for most Grand Slams by a team in history. So if we could have kept doing that, then I would have stayed motivated. But to start with a new partner, I felt would have been
Hmm.
really difficult. And I was turning 34, which at the time is ancient. You know, people
Yeah.
didn't play past 30. Now people are playing well into their 40s. So it was a different time where, you know, we didn't have the support around taking care of our bodies that people have now. So our bodies broke down a lot sooner than they do now.
So you're from Puerto Rico?
That's right.
Yeah. So for everybody who doesn't know that, Dom Rep is on the west side of Puerto Rico, I think, right? And the British Virgin Island on the east side, kind of.
Correct. Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah. So when did you come? When did you come to the U.S. and did you start playing in Puerto Rico, or how did it start?
Yeah. So I had a very unusual upbringing. In Puerto Rico in the 60s, which is when I was born, girls were just raised to get married and have kids. There was not a female professional athlete in any sport. So I played tennis because my brothers played tennis and they were older than me, and I just wanted to be like my brothers. But the coaches there would not teach me topspin because girls were not strong enough to hit topspin. And this is when Borg made topspin famous or popular.
Wow.
So I just had a flat forehand and a slice backhand. But because the Puerto Rico Tennis Association was part of the United States Tennis Association, I was able to play USTA nationals. So I would play the clay courts, the hard courts, and then
Okay.
that's where I was found by college coaches, and I was recruited to go to college. I got a scholarship to go to Clemson University, and the first time in my life that I played tennis every day was in college.
Oh
I had to
wow.
play tennis every day because I had a scholarship, and I learned. My college coach taught me to start to hit topspin on the forehand a little bit,
Uh-huh.
and then when I turned pro, I had a flat kind of little bit of topspin on the forehand, but still with a kind of Eastern grip, and then had a slice backhand. So while on tour, I learned to hit
Wow.
with my trademark shot, which was my backhand return with topspin and my one-handed backhand with topspin, and then I learned topspin while on tour. So definitely a different era, and you can't do that these days. If
Wow.
you turn pro now with weaknesses, you are clobbered. But back in the 90s, you could still do that.
Wow. So that's only like, it's crazy to hear that. It's only like 50 years ago, that they didn't allow you guys, like they didn't allow to teach topspin
Yeah,
there. Wow.
it
That's,
was just the pros there just had this kind of backwards mentality back in the, you know, girls
yeah.
aren't strong, so they have to stay in the house and be the wife.
Well, I'm glad a
So
lot of things changed. So, but I
yeah,
think it might have helped you a little bit with your volleys and your transition game. So, like, I think
yeah, because
nowadays
I
I don't
had
see that enough. That especially girls, like they don't, and boys as well, like both. It's not enough trained the continental grip and
yeah,
slicing. I
yep.
think that's something.
You're right. No, I had a continental grip on everything, so you're right. That probably helped my volleys. Because I had really good hand-eye coordination since I was very little, and I spent a lot of time working on my volleys, or not working on them. But you know, my dad and I used to do this game where he would stand on the service line with a bucket of balls, and I would stand on the service line on the opposite side of the net, and then he
Hmm.
would take balls from the basket and he would try to hit me. So he would like, it was a game. He's like, here, incoming bullets, incoming bullets. And then I would just try to stop the bullets from hitting me with my
And react,
racket.
yeah.
So that's how I kind of developed without knowing it. That's how he was developing my reactions. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. So when I listened in a little bit, like with Sarah, you said like you know, always the players go through hard times, and like, and I think it was '88 that you said that you might
Yeah.
wanted maybe to stop to play, and you weren't
Yep.
sure, and then what happened in '88?
So I had been playing for 4 years, and when you have a good junior career and then you have a good college career, I only lost 3 matches my freshman year in college. I went to NCAA's, but then when you turn pro, you lose every week, and it's very hard to lose when you're not used to losing. You don't really know how to lose or don't understand that losing our learning experiences. So I met Jim Lair, and Dr. Jim Lair, who's a very famous sports psychologist. What he did at the Open, there's 2 things that he did that were critical. Like, he taught me what to do with the 25 seconds in between points, because there's 84% of the time that we're playing, we're not actually in the middle of a point. So he taught me what to do with very specific set of things to do with those 25 seconds. And then also what he had me do was he had me act. He asked me if I knew how to act. And I said, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm now Academy Award winner. What do you want me to do? And he said, okay, I want you to act. When you go play your first round match, I want you to act like you're having fun. I know that you're hating tennis and you're going to quit at the end of this Grand Slam, but let's see if we can fool the whole crowd and everybody that's watching. They can think that the girl that they're watching is having a lot of fun. So I did that for the first match, and we won 6-4 in the third, and we came off the court, and he said, did you have fun? And I said, no, I didn't have any fun. 6-4 in the third is stressful. So he said, okay, well, just do it the next match. And I did it the next match and won that, and then the next match and won that, did it the next match and won that. And now we're in the semifinals of the US Open, and we're playing the best team in the history of tennis, male or female, in my opinion. And that is Martina Navratilova and Pam Shriver. They won 21 Grand Slams. They had just finished a 108 match win streak at Wimbledon 6 weeks before. That's 108 matches in a row. I mean, that just does not happen.
Yeah.
Right? So they haven't lost a match for 3 years. And we were playing them in the semis and really had no chance to beat them, but somehow we did beat them. So I came off the court, and then he asked me if I was having fun, and I was like, you better believe I'm having fun. I'm in the finals of the US Open. And then we won the next match, and I won the US Open, kind of faking myself into pretending like I was having fun. And in the end, I ended up having fun. And from then on, in '90, I played with Jana Novotná. She was #1 in the world and asked me to play with her, or '91 rather. And then in '92, Natasha and I got together, and Natasha and I, we won the first 6 Grand Slams in a row that we played together. So that was pretty unique. I think that record still holds. And then we ended up winning 14 Grand Slams in 5 years, which was a lot.
Wow.
A short period of time. A lot of Grand Slams in a short period of time, yeah.
So fake it until you make it. That's my
fake it till you make it. Absolutely.
Mentors from Australia, Brett Coster, you always tell me that, and it's true. So talking about the Olympics, so where do you put the Olympics into your, like, compared? What do those mean to you? Those 2 gold medals you won.
Do you hear my dog barking?
Yeah, but I like dogs, so I don't mind it.
Hey, Aspen, stop that.
I don't mind it.
My gold medals. Do you want to see him?
Yeah, show us.
Hold on, let me get him. I'm coming back.
Here we go.
They're coming. They're on the other side of the room. Here they are. I haven't seen time to pull them out in a while.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, that's pretty cool. This is Barcelona, and this is Atlanta, and that's back.
Nice.
And then people ask me if they're gold. A lot of times, like, this bit here is gold plated, and actually kind of comes out if I try. And then this one's gold plated, but other than that, they're not really gold. They're not true gold. So yeah, those go above anything that I have accomplished other than giving birth to my kids. That's a more important moment in my life, but it's probably second most important. To stand on the Olympic podium and listen to the national anthem play, it's just really special. And what's really cool about it is, like, so many people knew that I had won the gold medal. I would come home from my Europe swing and win 2 Grand Slams and 5 tournaments, and people would have no clue. And then I come back with 1 Olympic gold medal, and people are stopping me in the grocery store and in the
Yeah.
sidewalks, and everybody knew that I won the gold medal. So it was pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, those I think like winning those back to back as well, like 92, 96 it was, right?
Yeah, we were the first to defend a medal, and then Andy Murray defended just recently in 2016.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
pretty cool.
yes, that is amazing. And then Olympics are every 4 years, so that's even more.
Yeah.
Gigi, let's talk a little bit doubles. I work in the US since 10 years in a beautiful club and here in Stone Creek Club in Swan Covington, close to New Orleans. And so I have a lot of ladies and guys clinics. So one of the things I see, what would you recommend? So, like looking at the, let's say, ladies tennis 2.5, 3.0 level, right? So when they volley, and even high levels, they volley with a forehand grip, they can't hit low volleys, they do a lot of clinics and all those things. So how important, and I hope a lot of my ladies going to look at this too, how important is it to teach the continental at the beginning, or at least a very like at least the Eastern grip, but like continental preferably? Like, what do you think about that?
So to me, if you learn to play the right way, then you don't have to adjust later. So if you're learning to play and you can hold continental, it'll just make your life easier to make you faster to improve. In fact, we teach little kids how to serve with continental and also how to hit volleys with continental. So it's important. The harder the ball is hit, the more important it is that you have one grip, or if your reactions are slow, because obviously at 2.5 the ball's not moving as fast, but people have slower reactions. So if you feel like the ball's coming to you and you're not seeing it, you're not having time, then you definitely have to have continental, because you won't have time to change it. If you did not start with continental, really the best way to learn continental is to do it against the wall. And then to find continental, you just form a V with your forefinger in your hand, and then you place the racket, place that and throw the racket, and then you slide down, and then you hold the racket with 2 fingers. And the reason you want to do that is because these 2 fingers is where you get your feel, the feel of the racket. If you have to, with these 2 fingers, I can maneuver the racket head. A lot of times people will hold the racket like a hammer, and then that's very hard to maneuver. You don't have the feel that you have there. And then once you have that there, then you just place your hand around it with your fingers kind of a little bit open. If you want to have this finger up to over exaggerate, you can do that. But I prefer
like
that
that
finger up than this.
Yeah, because
I don't like the hammer grip. Yeah.
Some people call it trigger finger, right? So that's the feel finger where you feel
absolutely.
your shot.
Yep. So then from that position, then it's you just go forehand, backhand without having to change. So I encourage people to try that, and against the wall, just hold the continental grip, go in front of the wall, and then just start doing that very slowly. We just got a video on Instagram of Roger hitting volleys, and he was going really fast. But what was interesting to me was how little movement was going on in the racket. Because he was so close, he didn't have time. But that's the point of the volleys. It's like the volleys are a very small, like from here to here is really all you need. And most recreational players butcher it. They just have to like take these big back swings and swing at it, and less is more with the volleys.
Okay. All right. So next thing, I have a list here. You let me know when you get tired. All right, Gigi.
Okay.
So one more thing. When you have beginner players, right? So you see a lot of players. You see the lobs all the time. They come in and they hit right deep back to the other person at the baseline. Let's say you have one up, one at the back, and then the person at the baseline comes in and hits a slow ball right into the strike zone of the other person on the other side, and they just lob it, right? So that's one thing at the beginning tennis I found. They go deep back, they get lobbed. So, for me, the angles are very important. And even when the beginner players, that they understand if you bring your opponent out of strike zone position and balance and make them move, they can't lob you so easy. What do you think about
Yeah, so you're saying, let's make sure I understood you. So we have we have 2 players here, and then who's getting lobbed?
So the bottom player is going to come in, gets a shorter ball, and hits it right back to that person up there. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then.
So a couple of things. I want to talk about a couple of things there, because first of all, Generally speaking, this is the best position in doubles. Two up against one up, one back. Statistically speaking, these people are going to win the majority of the points. That's not my opinion or your opinion. It's this fact of tennis, right? So generally, I encourage people to do that. Now, if the relob is beating you, then you have to be careful, right? You cannot come in all the way. And, you know, if this person is lobbing you, I like your idea of hitting short angles. You know, one way to beat the lobbers is to bring them in, right? So if you hit a short ball and they're having to come up for that ball and you come in, it's very hard to lob when you're in. I'm generally not a huge proponent of hitting angles. So I tell players when they come in, they should follow two rules. The first rule is you want to get to at least a service line on the first volley. And then the second rule is you want to keep your opponent in the singles court. So if you keep your opponent in the singles court, then they can help you, right? They can help you from here. But if you have a ball here, then they're going to shift over, and then you have a very big area to cover for your first volley.
So opens up more angles.
Yeah, right? The wider you hit the ball, the wider it comes back. I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying you have to be careful. If you're really good at angles, and you're hitting an almost winner, that's great. But if you're putting a person here and you're having to cover all this, you're going to have a tough first volley. You know, the one trick that I have for beating the lobbers, say that, let's see. So let's say that this person is lobbing. You lob here, right? And then they're chasing, and you come up, and then they come over, and then this relob is beating you. Then what I do is I have these two players switch. So after you lob, instead of them having to run all the way forward, and then them having to come back for the overhead, then because they're already back, they kind of hover and they can cover all the lobs.
I love that.
This is good. It's good if you have in mixed doubles. Usually the guy has a better overhead. If you have somebody who has a better overhead than the other, because you can decide who's going to take the overheads. And then also if you have a lefty, right? Because if you have, let's see, that's right now we have two forehand volleys in the middle. So in this case, it wouldn't work. But if that was a lefty, if this was a lefty, right, and that was a righty, then that's a backhand volley, that's backhand volley. You don't never want two backhand overheads in the middle. So if we switch, now we have the regular overhead in the middle. So does that make sense?
Yes, so I like that.
So this is, so works from the lefties to avoid the lefty from having to hit a backhand overhead.
So would you say in general, a lefty, if you have a righty and a lefty, the lefty should play on the deuce side because most of the balls go, you have a forehand volley in the middle of the court and most of the balls go through the middle anyway? Or is it a feel thing? What do you...
No, most balls in doubles go through the middle. Like you want to put if you want to hide your weaknesses, if you have a weak backhand volley, you want to play the ad side, so your backhand volley's in the alley. You're not going to hit that very often. You definitely don't want somebody with a backhand volley weakness playing the deuce side because that's, you know, in the middle.
Especially at the beginner level, those higher volleys in them, and they don't like those.
Tough.
And all right, let's do like two more things. The work of the net player, like, oh, look at that.
She's biting.
So one up, one back.
Yeah.
And so the net players, the work of the net players, I found like in recreational tennis, the net players, they do not move it forward and then they do not move back to close the gap again. So
that's a back one. Yeah. So I teach these people, the net person, the two net people, first of all, they should be looking at each other. Like a lot of times this person will turn around to watch their partner. You never want to do that because as soon as you turn around, you can't see. And these people move in a triangle. So the triangle starts, let's do servers. So this is server partner, returner's partner. There's partner back here, server. Okay, so the serve comes, and then as the returner is returning, they have the first shot at the coach. This person should hold, and a very common mistake people make is as soon as their partner returns, they start to move forward. But they have to wait for the ball to cross. So as soon as the ball crosses them, then they can move forward. As they're moving forward, if they didn't poach, they're backing up. And now when they hit the ball, then they have the chance to poach. And when it crosses them, they continue back up. So this triangle continues. And what I see is players, they don't back up. You know, they stay up there, and then someone poaches, and they get hit. So you have to, if you're have a poaching opponent, then you have to back up to defend. If your opponent never poaches, and you will play people who never poach, then you just do that, right? There's no need to back up.
So talking about poaching, so you have a planned poaching. So if your partner
Yep.
serves and you communicate if you're gonna go or not, and then you have a spontaneous one. And I found like in teaching like intermediate players and beginner players that they found it hard to distinguish the depth, the speed of a ball. When is a good moment? When is my opponent out of balance? When can I do that? So do you have any? For my friend Faisal, who's the president of the USPTA at the moment, he always says peanut butter sandwich. I forget. Like P is like positioning, court positioning. The butter is the balance, and the strike zone is the S. So, when two of those three things play in your favor, then it's a good time to poach. So people have different approaches. So, what do you tell someone about poaching? When is a good time? And
So the reality of the timing of the poach, it's very difficult to answer because it's a physics problem, right? We have two moving objects and an interception point. I'm moving, the ball's moving, and I got to intercept it at a certain point. So depending on your velocity and the velocity of the ball, then you start to run so that you can intercept that ball. Unfortunately, as we age, we get older and we get slower. Obviously we get older, but we get slower. And as we get slower, our ability to reach the ball diminishes. So we have to leave too soon so we can get there. But if you leave too soon, then your opponent can go behind you. So I love planned poaches where not just on the first one, but even for the returner's partner, or the service partner can give their partner a number. So say you're my partner, I'll give you a 1, a 2, or a 3. That means that if you make the return and I have a 1, I'm going to poach on that one. If I give you a 2, when they hit the second ball, then we're going to switch. And
I like that.
It's important for your partner to know, because you can leave sooner. You can just take off, and then your partner's going to cover behind you. And then when you leave again, you have to leave. Once you're committed to the second ball, you go regardless. So if your partner hit a short ball, it doesn't matter. You just have to go, and you have to leave early enough so that you can get there. And not understanding that you don't have to worry about the down the line shot, because your partner is going to come behind you and cover that.
Okay, I like that. All right, two more. The lob on the second serve, on a weak second serve. Is that a good weapon?
Love it. The lob return is so underutilized in doubles. When I break down the return, and the G method has 5 steps, and the 4th step is return. When I break down the return, I say basically you have 2 choices when you return. You can drive the ball or you can lob the ball, right? And most people don't even think of lobbing the return as an option. If you're gonna drive the ball, you can hit it back to where it came from, or you can change the direction of the ball and hit it at the net person. And there's 4 returns that I tell people about. There's your basic cross-court return that you stay back, and that's what 95% of players are doing. They hit the return and stay back. So I like to work on the other 3, which is you have a short ball, or you have for sure a short ball in the serve, because it has to land inside the service line. So it's the best opportunity to hit the return and come in. So that's chip and charge, hit and charge. That's a second option for the return. You can drive it at the net person, literally just hit it right at them. Most people don't have good hands or are not ready for that. If you're going to hit it at them, hit to their inside volley. The mistake that people make is when they return the ball, they try to hit it into the alley. And then when you hit it into the alley, you open
the angle up. Yeah.
Right, but if you hit it right at them, you catch him not ready, but that ball's going to come back to you. They're here, so there's no winner there. You have a better chance of getting that one. And then the third option, of course, is to lob and come in. Now, when you lob, there's a difference between an offensive lob and a defensive lob, right? The offensive lob is low in trajectory, has a low arc, and it could be top spin, it could be flat, it could be slice. But the key to the offensive lob is that when it bounces, it's low, so you're probably going to try to win the point with that. The problem with the offensive lob, if your arc is not perfect, either the opponent's going to hit the overhead or the ball's going to go out. So I like defensive lobs, which are high in trajectory and deep, and you use them as an offensive weapon. So I used to do this when I was playing. So I would just throw a really high, deep return lob, and I had all this time to get to the net. While my opponents are chasing down balls, I've just taken control of the net. Usually a lob was going to come back, or a driven ball was going to come back.
I like that. And what about if it's a windy day and then you know when it goes a little bit over the fence usually when you play and the wind just grabs. I feel like the wind grabs the ball easier if you have like a not a topspin lob if you just chip it over or like you know. So what do
Right.
you recommend when it's a windy day?
So on windy days, I recommend lobbing into the wind, not with the wind. It's very hard to,
Hmm.
the area shortens because the wind's taking the ball, so it's a lot harder. Whereas into the wind, you can really hit it as hard as you want, and the wind will bring it in. You kind of broke up in the first part of it, but I definitely don't recommend lobbing in a really super windy day into the wind.
Hmm.
Mostly, I mean,
Okay,
lobbing with the wind. You want to lob when the wind
with
is
the
in your
wind.
face. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, and then the last one. Let me see. Where did I write it down? Serving, yeah, serving and doubles to the tee, like so to
Serving
cut
and
the
doubles to the
angles.
tee. Yes. Um, I love serving. I love it. Tee or body, you want to cut the angles, with the
Hmm.
exception of when you do Australian or I formation. So
Hmm.
on tour, pros do I formation so they can stand closer to the tee and hit a serve straight down and try to hit an ace or try to reach, get the opponent reaching or try to get to a weakness if it's to the do side. However, with recreational players, the serves are not hard, right? They're not as hard. So if you
Yeah.
hit a serve to the tee and it's not hard, what's going to happen? This person's going to return this ball and they're going to hit it cross court. This cross court forehand gives you a really long distance to run.
Hmm.
So I prefer on Australian or I formation that you serve wide. If you serve wide, the ball has to come back to you.
Hmm.
That makes
Got it.
sense. So
Yeah.
you're kind of playing the angles of the court. You can also serve to the body and jam people, and that one will not get you in trouble. But I love I serving to the tee in doubles, except for in the case of when you're doing Australian or I formation.
All right. I love that. I love the inside. So Gigi, what I'm gonna do is when we're done, I'm gonna post a separate post where people can get info on all the things you do and you have online because I think you know
Yep.
obviously we have in the U.S. I mean, like 90% is doubles, you know, especially on the recreational levels, right? So we have so many mixers and socializing events, and I think it's a great market as well. And you know, I will definitely promote that. So when we're done, you can send me a couple of links. You sent me one with
Okay.
the ebook, but if you have other
Yeah.
things, send it to me. I'm going to make a nice post because, as I
Okay.
said, you know, to hear that from you, it still has a different. It's different than hearing that
Thank
from a
you. I
regular pro, you
appreciate
know.
that.
So I hope some of my ladies I teach,
Yes, would love
they're gonna
to.
listen to
Yeah.
Gigi.
Well, and also, I have made it a goal to hit all 50 states with the Gigi Method clinics. I was going to have 33 states done by the end of this year. It might be a little hard now, but I think I might have to cancel. I have had to postpone 9 clinics so far this year, but I would love to. have not been to Louisiana,
So
so
yeah, oh yeah,
I would love to come.
we're gonna have you. You know,
Yeah,
like the tennis house. I started it 4 years ago, and it started on Facebook as a platform for coaches to help each other. You know, when you have a question, other coaches
right.
can help you. So we have like 13,000 coaches on Facebook
Yeah,
now. And then
yeah.
on Instagram, I open it up for all the players in the world and the coaches. And I started to do tennis conferences. And you know, Arancha Sanchez is they're good friends of mine, Emilio and Arancha. So I had Emilio Arancha,
Yeah,
Douglas Cordero, who works with team on his fitness. You know, just
that's
name
great.
it. We had like tennis conferences, so I would love to have you on one of my next tennis conferences
Okay,
if it
yeah, would love to.
can correspond with your
Um,
time.
the, yeah, no, absolutely. And then the other thing I'm doing for my followers, and if you go to gigifernandeztennis.com, I have everything that I do is there. You can, if you join my mail list, then you have access to different things that I offer. For example, right now, tomorrow we have a free Pilates for tennis Zoom class. I have a friend who's a Pilates instructor, and we
Nice.
designed a course specifically for tennis players. And tomorrow at 10, I think we have 480 people signed up.
Wow.
So that would be fun. This one's so oversold, but it's free actually, not oversold. But we can only have 500 people in the Zoom class, or then it's no longer you can no longer have more than 500 people. But for the next one, you can send your followers the link, and they can
Oh,
pre-sign
definitely.
up, so they can get the link to it. So Thursdays at 10 is when we're doing that
I
throughout
love
this
that.
whole coronavirus epidemic.
I love that. And all my members gonna join. Just make sure, Gigi, that you take 5 minutes to write me all that when we're done. So I want to make a nice post on all my channels I have, you know, and then that
Sounds
would be
great.
awesome. And then I hope when the virus goes away, as I said, I would love to have you at one of my next conferences, like
Absolutely,
preferably the next one we're gonna have. That would be awesome. We're in New Orleans. It's nice here. You can ask Arancha. I know you know Arancha, so
absolutely, yeah.
you can ask her
Count me in.
how she felt here, and then you can get, and
Yeah,
maybe she can come back. Everybody loved her, so maybe you and Arancha can come together.
sounds great. All right,
All
thanks
right,
for having me.
Gigi, thank you so much,
Okay,
and
all right,
stay healthy, and thanks for everything. I appreciate
all
that.
right. Take care. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.